Hello and welcome again to Cloudforest Vibes. Today I just want to do a quick video. It's a mounting video again. Hope this isn't too boring for you guys, but I'm really excited to get this Dracula lotax, and I really want to mount it. I'm going to go ahead and mount it today on some live moss. I'm going to use a mixture of the live sphagnum moss that I propagate and a little bit of this moss that we trimmed out of the terrarium not too long ago, and just see how it does together. I think it's going to look really nice, and I think hopefully it'll help this plant flourish and just look really natural and really good. So we're going to go ahead and get this guy out of this little mesh pot and get him cleaned up, and we are going to go ahead and from there try to put it on this piece of cork. I've already got everything prepared and ready, so shouldn't be too long of a video today. But this thing is planted in live sphagnum, well, maybe live, in some sphagnum moss, pure sphagnum moss. And I really want to get it out of here. I know it seems foolish because I'm putting it right back on straight moss, but on a mount is a totally different world than in a pot, especially in my environment. I carry a really high humidity, and that humidity can be just lethal with a pot. Despite my air movement, the humidity does not allow things to dry very rapidly, and these Masdevallias, pleurothalids, things like that, they really do like to get a lot of air to their roots. You do not want to smother their roots, even though they want to stay nice and moist. So, look, this thing has pretty good roots. Some new growing tips in there we want to be really careful with. So I'll go ahead and get this thing cleaned up all the way, and I'll be back once it is. Okay, so that should do it. We've got a nice cleaned up plant here. Looking really good, got some really nice roots on it, bunch of new growths, and it looks like it's growing in at least 2 different directions at this moment in time. That's really good. That's a really cool thing. It's got a creeping rhizome, so the growths come up, hopefully you can see this, the growths come up along this creeping rhizome one by one, produce their roots, and push on a new lead that just continues growing that rhizome on, just like a vine. Let's go ahead, we're going to take some zombie moss and put it on the mount first. Just a thin layer. This is only going to help us keep the moss that we put on there moist at all times and give it a nice, base of moisture, if that makes any sense. We do not want this moss to dry out. We do not want this plant to dry out ever, not fully. So just a thin layer. So now we have our mount with the zombie moss ready to go. I pre-tied my fishing line on, so we're going to go ahead and just give it a couple turns just to secure this stuff on there, if I don't knock it all off. So now we have our zombie moss on the mount. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take a couple small clippings of this first. All I'm doing is topping them. I'm taking the first, inch or 2 of the moss and lopping it right down. So we've got a nice little section of moss here. I want to put just a few pieces down of this, and then we're going to sit our plant right on top of that, and we will fill in the rest of the space with the rest of the moss that we cut. So again, nice thin layer of live moss right there on the mount. We're going to take our orchid, we're going to get it situated on there. Now we got to be careful, we're not cutting any leaves or anything like that, so what we're going to do is we're going to come through and split them. Get you on that side, right there. Make our first wrap around the base of that plant. Not too tight. I'm trying to avoid the newer growths. I'm trying to only fasten it on by clinging to some of the older leaves because they're a little more tougher. They've got a more established rhizome. there. Under here. And make one more wrap there. No, I'm not thrilled with that either. This has proven to be a little more difficult to get this plant situated than I thought, guys. I'm going to go ahead and figure this out, and I will be back in just a few minutes. So, I had numerous problems doing this, but I finally got it pretty much done. I'm just getting the last little bit of fishing line tied on here right now. But, yeah, so I'm really excited about this. It's my first mounted Dracula. I really hope it does well. This is going to live in the small tank in the really, really high humidity to prevent it from ever drying out completely. And it's going to be on the watering cycle of the other Cloudforest dwellers in there. So let me go ahead and get this snipped up, and I will go ahead and show it off to you guys for the first time. So this is what we've got. This is the Dracula lotax. I've got both the forest moss and the sphagnum moss in there, kind of layered in, with a little bit of this zombie moss on the base, and I just think that looks fantastic. Don't you guys? So I'm going to go ahead and give this thing its first watering, and I'll take you with me for that, and we'll go ahead and shove it in the tank and see what it looks like. So here we are back with our Dracula, and we're going to go ahead and give it a little bit of a spray. Everything's moist. This moss stays moist, so don't need to go overboard here. I just want to give a little bit of water on there. We're going to go ahead and dose it with our kelp, as you guys know I love to do. I'm sorry, this is CalMag. Give it our CalMag. And then a little trickle of the kelp max. Just a little bit. And the moss loves the kelp too, so if you're ever worried about feeding the moss, you think that you need to, it'll green right up, it'll start growing like crazy and dividing itself and splitting itself the minute that it gets a little taste of that kelp max. So that's the mounted Dracula. Let's get our orchidarium opened up, and we will go ahead and find a spot for this guy. We've got our Dracula situated. I got him back here in the corner, above one of my Restrepias and next to the Poroglossum. It's going to get some real bright, shady conditions here. It's all artificial light, so I don't have to worry about the sun burning it up. And it's going to stay nice and foggy, nice and misty, montane conditions, just like it likes. And that's it. So that's the Dracula lotax. And I just think that looks so great. I'm so eager to see this thing grow in and bloom. Thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate it. I hope you guys are having a nice start to your weekend. And I will see you guys again soon. I'm thinking about doing a tour tomorrow. I have some new blooms opened up, so I really want to show those to you guys, but I do not have the time today. So that's it for now. I hope you guys are staying safe, and I will see you guys again. Thanks for watching.